Hello, Diana. What are the variables that venture capital takes into consideration when choosing the company in which to invest?
One thing that I can imagine how confusing this is, and maybe I can help rephrase the question, is that we as a venture studio, we don't invest in external companies. So even if we had a fund, we would prioritize the fund or the money allocation towards our company. So I think basically maybe what Jamil, you want to ask is, how do you, let's say, prioritize the ideas or the companies that we are trying to build in the studio? So we do have a scorecard, if you can call it this way, and we've almost have or follow a due diligence process, almost like any investor. It's in our best interest to kill that idea really fast. So that's actually one of the key differentiators between, let's say, accelerators or startup founders building a startup by themselves. It's not interest to, for example, keep trying or spend too much time on this, because that means a lot of time commitment, which equals money. So we look at opportunities where, not all the time, but most of the time, we look at opportunities where we can exit or partner with a larger corporation. So we are on the lookout of opportunities or, of course, some of the needs or customer problems or challenges that our corporate partners voice to us. They are important to us. And then we look at the market sizing of that opportunity, who else is out there, how many companies, startups, how are the startups looking like from a business model? What about the fundraising or the exits, and which markets that's been done before? So this, everything that I'm mentioning right now, compiles a scorecard, which we kind of take through every idea that we create. And then just one last thing to say, we almost never work on an idea that, or a startup that it's already existing in the market, or we feel that it's just too competitive. So sometimes we do look at different markets. So for example, Australia or the US, and it's a good inspirational source for us, or what can be done here. But we take this approach, it's very rigorous for us, because as I said, we have to just move really fast with ideas. Usually we don't spend more than 3 months, even less, I would say. It takes us about a month just to have an idea, tested, validated, and then decide whether we want to proceed forward or not.
Let's go into how venture studio makes money, or does it?
Well, we should. Otherwise, I think we will be out of the market, out of business very soon. There's multiple ways of making money, of course, with venture building. But I think as a successful venture builder, almost as a VC, you want your portfolio of companies to raise money and potentially to have a successful exit, where based on the exits, of course, you would gain some proceeds, which you'll be able to further invest in your business. As I said, there's multiple ways of potentially making revenue alongside, because an exit could take, right now, at the rate I see unicorns coming to market, just before our talk, Beata, I was actually looking at Dog Planet. They raised an additional round, which makes them officially a unicorn, just a week later, after another Polish company that announced their $1 billion valuation, which is crazy. But let's assume that an exit would happen, let's say in 4 or 5 years from now. Obviously, you do have to sustain the operations of your venture studio. So in our case, when the startup goes out of the venture studio as a spin-off, then our, let's say, resources or services, if you like, almost treated as an external provider at a discounted rate for our best interest. But we do receive additional revenue from the company. So there are recharges. This is how we call them. And then it could be, if you do get a profit along the years, you could also take dividends as well. But these two, the recharges on the startup and potentially fees for sitting on the board as well as a member, and the proceeds that you'll be able to make as part of those exits, that's one way. So these are basically two streams of revenue. It's a pretty vast question, because it goes down to your business model, of course, as a studio, because there are studios that are built primarily to create companies, let's say, for larger corporations. So that's immediately a transactional relationship. So there's maybe no equity involved as a studio. You wouldn't necessarily look at any short-term exits primarily, but you would price per project. That's fine. That's an approach as well. It's just not something that we do at GRA. And I think we're way better off co-creating and potentially also co-investing with these partners alongside.